Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ohio Valley Real Estate Report. I'm Johnny Gazumka with Harvey Goodman Realtor here with Blake McNeely.
Morning.
So today we're going over a new topic, talking about the life of a new agent. Last week we discussed how to get started in real estate. If you have any questions, you can contact myself, Blake, or anybody with our company at any time, or you can check out last week's podcast and maybe get some good info there. But anyways, good morning, Blake.
Morning.
Thanks for sitting in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you're somewhat new to real estate, but you're not really new to real estate. You know, your parents have been around. They're one of the main people. I mean, everyone, when you hear the name McNeely, I mean, to me,
Sure.
everyone thinks real estate, at least in the Ohio Valley. So what's it like? I mean, you just joined and want to kind of shed some experience of...
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would always joke around with people, I've really only been a realtor for a few months, but I've been around it for a long time because my parents have, been in the industry, I think, since I was 6 or 7 years old.
Sure.
And so, growing up in a family of realtors, my mother at first and then my dad later on, it's sort of showed me different areas of the industry and, really how those client relationships are formed. But now that I have my license actually being in it, it's an interesting experience. It's nice being with a good brokerage like Harvey Goodman, who can, really help to groom their agents and to educate them to create quality agents and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's been great so far.
Yeah, and you mentioned a good topic as far as even brokerages and kind of growing, where there's other companies that you might just, hey, here's a desk, here's this, and kind of get to work, and you kind of learn at your own experience. And oftentimes agents will help people build themselves, but you bring a nice package even to our company, because as much as like you might learn from, hey, here's this particular instance with this transaction, just even looking at the microphones. These are new now because you bring a technical experience to the table, which is... as this industry shifts towards more tech-related things like online, like no one has ever called me and said, "Hey, I saw your ad in the newspaper." It's more
Right.
Everything's online now. So your experience, as much as you may say you learn from us, you're going to be teaching us much more as we move into the future.
Yeah, we're try to at least. A lot of this, just from being a teenager, growing up, in the the YouTube age, a lot of this stuff is really interesting. Growing up, I feel like everyone in my generation, their dream was to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, still is.
Right, everyone tries to figure out how to get their setup going, and just like with the microphones, that's what I originally got them for. Doing that kind of thing, and so you learn along the way. You learn how to use different components of technology and that sort of thing, which are all really powerful tools in the real estate industry. If you're marketing a home or making a podcast like this, that sort of thing, those are, things that you can carry with you into, helping, buyers find their dream home and sellers sell for more.
It's ridiculous how these obscure talents and these knowledge, these skill sets that people have that translate into. It's like, for example, I make balloon animals. Like I've done that my entire life.
Right.
It's like one of those little trinkets, talents that we have, and I find myself doing that with almost every event that we host. So just recently we did the Spooktacular. Shout out to Amanda Bennett if she's watching, for the programs that she puts up there and the work that she's doing. But yeah, and it's just one of those things that you don't realize that, being a new agent, like I said, it can be kind of tough. We've all been there at some point. But it's one of those things that's going to make you immensely successful because you get a side of the business that is, in all honesty, I think harder to adapt to. It's easy to get in and be able to write new contracts and fill out the blanks kind of thing and whatever. But it's hard to survive being a little fish in a big pond if you're not ready to do these kind of things that we're doing now. And it's, like I said, you bringing the microphones today, it makes this podcast better.
Right. And even you mentioned with a newspaper ad and that sort of thing, even if someone does read the newspaper, the amount of time they're spending with the newspaper is so minuscule compared to the amount of time they have on their phone. I mean,
Sure.
if anyone looks at their screen time, a lot of times you're surprised at how much time you're spending on there, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, and that's where the people are. Mm-hmm. And so if we can be there as real estate agents, we can deliver the best service to our clients being right in there.
Yeah. And as far as service is concerned, we talked about this before going live, but how do you market yourself as a new agent, how to get that new business? And I've always found, and because we work with new people every day, we get new people that join the board. There's like over 500 agents that service this Ohio Valley. And I often find that some of the newer ones are more willing to work, more aggressive, and they also retain knowledge that, we used to play a game at our annual RPAC meetings called Are You Smarter Than a New Agent? Where if I had to sit down today and take that exam right now, I guarantee you I would bomb it. I don't think I could pass it because you would know everything. Like, so again, you mentioned learning from us. It's kind of the other way around.
Right. Yeah. And like, just when it comes to studying for the real estate exam and that kind of thing, the Ohio real estate exam, and I guess all of the real estate exams across the board are all very, very technical, memorizing terms, that kind of stuff. And, they sort of go away with time, but when you're a new agent, they're sort of fresh, sort of there. And, it's interesting because it's almost, when you're a new agent, you're really, I guess, taking all of the precautions, to really try to figure out, the industry. And that's sort of where I'm at now, where to go next. And, you mentioned marketing yourself as a new agent, trying to figure that out, figuring out what's the best way to get out there, and trial and error, that sort of thing.
Oh, with your parents in the background, especially with the brokerage.
Sure.
I have no doubt that you're going to be a rock star, in the next, you're going to be seeing your name everywhere. So, yeah, I mean, do you want to share some experiences? Where did you take your classes at, for example?
Yeah, so I took my classes at Hondros in Columbus. It's probably one of the top choices in Ohio. I think most people that get their Ohio license go through Hondros. There were a few options. You could either take the classes online or in person. But when I started, it was, I think, March of 2021, and they still weren't fully back to in-person classes.
Sure, COVID.
Right. So I started online, but learning online was a real challenge with that because, real estate school is highly technical. Sure. And so if you're looking at highly technical things all day long, it can be kind of draining. So when they opened up the in-person classes in May, then I went and had fully in-person classes. And it was interesting. One of my instructors was Bob Kutchbaugh, who is the president of the National Real Estate Educators Association.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it was, sort of a privilege to get to learn from him, and then a wide variety of instructors and learn from their experiences, hear the stories they had. And, yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah, because I did. So you did in person. So did you have to drive to Columbus to?
Yeah. So it's 3 weeks of classes. So I got a hotel for, the weekdays and then came home on the weekends.
Yeah. So I would agree. In person, I would imagine, is more beneficial for most people. So yeah, good for you. That's awesome. So I mean, and when you took your test, I mean, you passed first time, and that's. So you're here now. As far as your future is concerned, any new clients or anything you want to say to people watching as far as marketing yourself and how to get started?
Yeah, sure. If you're looking to buy or sell in the Ohio Valley, I'm Blake McNeely. My parents are both agents as well. You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram's List with Blake. Been doing some different marketing things there, and happy to help in any way I can.
Yeah, you guys kind of had the trifecta. So I work with a group, the Scott Connors group with Harvey Goodman, and it's nice when you have someone like a partner where if my schedule's not available, I can call Scott or vice versa, and we bounce things back and forth. Because being in real estate, the best way to describe our schedules, and you'll find this out very quickly, we can only work when other people are off of work.
Right.
So it's like, hey, what are you doing Super Bowl Sunday? Well, I'm probably showing houses and doing everything else, before the Super Bowl, because that's when people are off. My weekend schedule is usually made by Monday morning. So and you can only devote so much of your time to work and then divide that between friends and family and that kind of thing. So it can be daunting, but having your family involved, your mom and dad, and basically all three of you, obviously you have 3 agents working for you, but it doesn't cost you anything else. It doesn't cost you anything extra.
Sure.
That's a very good reason. So if you're looking to buy, obviously if my schedule doesn't fit, you'd be my next, or Scott and yourself would be my very next go-to to say, hey, this is, I know they can help. And that's the name of the game, is just being helpful. It's not people think this is sales. It's not sales. It's not. It's consultation. That's what I've always said is, if you have questions about getting started, being a first-time buyer, or what your home is worth. I mean, if you want to call us about real estate, we'll answer as much as possible.
Right. And, real estate is one of those things where, most people only buy or sell 2, maybe 3 houses in their entire life. It's the biggest investment they'll ever make. And on top of that, there's lots of, legalities and complications that it's really a super confusing process, And so when you work with a real estate agent, realtors, facilitate these transactions all the time. And so there's benefit there.
Yeah, and it's not something that we ever take lightly. Nobody. And if somebody does, I mean, they're not in this business very long. You can really weed out who is strong and who is actually passionate about it and who is just there to try and, to chase the money, so to
Sure.
speak. And then I don't know if you've seen the comment yet, but yeah, your mom commented, "Hey Becky, thanks for watching." She says you've been going on showings with her since you were 6.
Yep.
So I mean, like I said, we talk about you learning things from the business. I'm absolutely confident you could teach most of us more, just by being, coming fresh out of class and your experience just by being around the business. You've been around the business longer than I've been in the business, if that makes sense. So yeah. That's as far as market activity, prices I think still continue to rise. We are still seeing a national trend as far as lack of listing volume. I had a seller client reach out to me from our first podcast asking about investing and things of that nature. So if you're watching this podcast now, the best time to buy is always 5 years ago. There really is no significant signs, at least in my I don't know how you feel about the market, but I don't see it necessarily decreasing in price anytime soon. The biggest change I think that we're about to experience, probably interest rates are going to slowly start trending back upwards.
Sure.
So just, to kind of get some insight on to what to expect there. But
yeah, the National Association of Realtors actually just, had a report on this recently. And one of the things that they said were that, housing prices were continuing to rise. A lot of people are concerned that they're going to buy on a plateau. But it's certainly not looking like we're plateauing, of course.
Yeah, and we talked about this before in our immediate market. I think we're somewhat immune. I don't want to say we don't see dips, in the market. Every market goes up and down. It doesn't matter what it is. But we're relatively stable as compared to national averages because we live in an area that is kind of set by median income levels. So we can't sell $1 million house to just the average, coal miner or nurse or, we're driven by industry and, hospitals, nursing, coal mines, that kind of thing. That's what this area is really known for. But then you go to like Silicon Valley and it's like, okay, they have all these Bitcoin millionaires and things that would allow for those types of large scale, shifts, those ups and downs. So here, yeah, it's relatively stable. Real estate investing here is, if you're looking for slow, continuous growth, that's usually what I'd advise for people.
Right. So. And especially with investing, even if someone's looking to get into real estate investing for the first time, that sort of thing, a lot of times people will compare real estate investing to the stock market, but it's really super different because if you think about, say you put $100,000 in a mutual fund and you'll look at maybe 3 to 5% growth over whatever period of time, real estate, you're looking at similar growth, except for you're only really putting, $20,000 or $30,000 down. So really the return on your investment is much, much higher.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it because you're basically, I always liken the expression of paying rent is no different than just paying someone else's mortgage. So you're right. If you're able to get into the market by purchasing a property, and if you're specifically targeting that as an investment, like an income producing rental investment, you're absolutely right. Why would you risk putting all of this in here for a speculative gain because things can go up or down? I mean, if anybody can predict that kind of future, we'd all be retired by now.
Right.
But you can sort of get the same return, but with less invested to begin with. So it's a brilliant, and I never thought of it that way. So like I said, you're going to be a rock star. But yeah, I mean, any other advice or anything as far as from your seat,
Yeah, nothing too much. I know a lot of people are first-time home buyers and, they might be scared with looking into properties because like you said, there's super low inventory. But if you're looking alone, it's going to look like there's a lot fewer properties out there because it's hard to find a search. So if you contact a real estate agent, a realtor, we have access to the MLS, which is the multiple listing service. We can do detailed property searches and really help you to find that home.
Yeah, let's expand on that because that's a good topic as well. And it's a point that the general public, I think, misses all the time. This is a course that I actually help teach with other agents, tech tips and tricks and things of why to explain this and why it matters. Anyone watching this, if you're looking to buy, you're probably doing your searching on Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia. That's where everybody goes to. And there's nothing wrong with those sites. I'm not beating them up. But what you need to understand is that it's typically the slowest medium where you can obtain new information. So you mentioned the MLS. Most people don't know what that is. It stands for Multiple Listing Service. I liken it to a 3-phase process. So let's just say you call me and say, John, or I call you, Blake, I want you to list my house. Who knows about that listing before anybody? you do, right? No, so your clients that you're working with and everything else, it spans out from your knowledge base. Then we as agents, we're governed by a board of realtors that is overseen by executive directors and MLS guidelines, these kind of things. But that's where we take that data, the data about my house that you're going to be listing, and we put it in there. And like I had said earlier in this podcast, there's over like 500 agents that work this entire Ohio Valley. The second you put it into that MLS, you now know about it. It's like a Facebook for agents, right? If you are a buyer and you're not working with the buyer's agent and someone else is, that particular buyer working with that agent has access to that. They're going to be notified the second a new listing goes live. In fact, my buyers call me all the time. I want to see this listing you just sent to me. They know about listings before I do.
Right.
It's designed that way because I'm not the one buying the house. So it's a very good point to make that.
And on top of that, as agents, we're required to put new information in within 48 hours.
Yeah, so we're governed by administrative law. Exactly.
Right. So these websites, like you said, they have a slow flow of information, whereas we literally cannot take longer than 48 hours, and where all the other agents can see it. So if you don't have a buyer's agent, you're really not getting that, I guess, priority access.
Yeah. Well, I guess to dial that in. If you've ever been on Realtor.com and you've seen a listing go live and it says new listing and it's active now, and then within 1 hour it says pending, what's happened is it was sold a week ago. There can be a delay between 1 day to 1 week before something is fed through the MLS and then it ends up on Realtor.com. Most people kind of miss this too, but we're not just because we're realtors doesn't mean we have anything to do with Realtor.com. It's an own website that sells their own marketing, their own advertising, same thing as Zillow. While we use those services, they're not ours. We don't manage them.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a good point that if you're not working with a buyer's agent, you're going to be severely behind anyone else who is.
Yeah. And if you're, looking for a property and you don't have a buyer's agent yet, even going to a website like clickharvey.com, clickharvey.com has the IDX link so that, ClickHarvey is linked right in there with the MLS so that you can get information, top priority access on there, and then, find an agent like Johnny who can, help you find that dream home.
Like you. Yeah, that's no, you're absolutely right. And IDX, Internet Data Exchange, that's what it stands for, is how these are all fed and why that's important, because that is the last phase of that information chain when something is grabbed using that method and then displayed somewhere. So you're absolutely right. Whenever those who know about the listings get the listings first. And Tim, thanks for liking the stream. But yeah, any other information or any advice that you want to bestow upon myself, or I guess, yeah.
I think that's about it for me. What about you?
I'm good as far as, are you good for maybe doing another one next week or anything?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll come up with a different topic, and yeah, I think we'll end the stream here, but Blake, thank you so much for sitting in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. Anyways, guys, this is Johnny Kazemka, Blake McNeely from Harvey Goodman, signing off from the Ohio Valley Real Estate Report. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.